February 12th, 2016, Friday after Ash Wednesday.
A reading from the book of the prophet Isaiah. Thus says the Lord God, cry out full-throated and unsparingly. Lift up your voice like a trumpet blast. Tell my people their wickedness and the house of Jacob their sins. They seek me day after day and desire to know my ways, like a nation that has done what is just and not abandoned the law of their God. They ask me to declare what is due them, pleased to gain access to God. Why do we fast and you do not see it, afflict ourselves and you take no note of it? Lo, on your fast day, you carry out your own pursuits and drive all your laborers. Yes, your fast ends in quarreling and fighting, striking with wicked claw. Would that today you might fast so as to make your voice heard on high. Is this the manner of fasting I wish, of keeping a day of penance? That a man bow his head like a reed and lie in sackcloth and ashes. Do you call this a fast, a day acceptable to the Lord? This, rather, is the fasting that I wish, releasing those bound unjustly, untying the thongs of the yoke, setting free the oppressed, breaking every yoke, sharing your bread with the hungry, sheltering the oppressed and the homeless, clothing the naked when you see them, and not turning your back on your own. Then your light shall break forth like the dawn, and your wound shall quickly be healed. Your vindication shall go before you, and the glory of the Lord shall be your rear guard. Then you shall call, and the Lord will answer. You shall cry for help, and he will say, Here I am. The word of the Lord.
Responsorial Psalm. The response is, a heart contrite and humbled, O God, you will not spurn. Have mercy on me, O God, in your goodness. In the greatness of your compassion, wipe out my offense. Thoroughly wash me from my guilt, and of my sin cleanse me. A heart contrite and humbled, O God, you will not spurn. For I acknowledge my offense, and my sin is before me always. Against you only have I sinned, and done what is evil in your sight. A heart contrite and humbled, O God, you will not spurn. For you are not pleased with sacrifices. Should I offer a burnt offering, you would not accept it. My sacrifice, O God, is a contrite spirit. A heart contrite and humbled, O God, you will not spurn. A heart contrite and humbled, O God, you will not spurn.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. The disciples of John approached Jesus and said, Why do we and the Pharisees fast much, but your disciples do not fast? Jesus answered them, Can the wedding guests mourn as long as the bridegroom is with them? The days will come when the bridegroom is taken away from them, and then they will fast. The Gospel of the Lord.
February 12th, Friday after Ash Wednesday. The first reading comes from Isaiah 58, 1-9a. Isaiah 58 is in the middle of the section of the book of the prophet Isaiah that was written by an author or authors after the return of the Israelites from their exile in Babylon, chapters 56-66. So this would be after 539 BC. They returned to their land, and in 2nd Isaiah 40-55, they had been promised a restoration. But when they got back to the land, it was miserable. There were no city walls, things were in ruins. They constantly faced drought, locusts, raiding nomads. It was a very difficult existence. And so the people were saying, where is the fulfillment of all the promises that God has made to us? The writer of Isaiah turns it back on the Israelites and says the problem is you. You haven't turned your hearts over to the Lord. And in this reading especially, he speaks about their superficial practices such as fasting, which are not joined to a conversion, change of heart. Rather, they go through these external actions, but then they oppress the poor. What does God want from us? That we treat people who are broken, poor, needy, with the mercy that God has shown us. What we would call the corporal acts of mercy. That is the sign of conversion. That is the sign of turning our hearts away from our selfishness and into the love that God has shown us. The theme of fasting continues in the Gospel, Matthew 9:14-15. In this passage we hear one reason why we fast. Jesus was asked, why do the Pharisees and the disciples of John fast and his disciples don't? His response, you can't fast while the bridegroom is still with you. What is one of the reasons we fast? As an act of mourning, because the bridegroom has been taken away. The one we love and who has taught us what love means has been killed. And therefore we fast to show that we're sorry for the way that we've collaborated in his suffering. This is one reason for fasting. There are other reasons. We fast so that we can put food in its proper perspective, so that we can be in solidarity with the poor, so that we can teach ourselves discipline, learning how to say no when it's the appropriate word to say, etc. Here, it's a ritual idea, and we can apply this especially to the fasting that we do on Ash Wednesday and Good Friday. Ash Wednesday, we're entering into the penitential season. On Good Friday, we commemorate the day that Jesus died for us. Now, in the Eastern tradition, the Eastern Orthodox Church, they also fast on Wednesdays, because that was the day that Jesus was betrayed by Judas. So they fast both Wednesdays and Fridays. During Lent, we only fast on Ash Wednesday and Good Friday, but we do abstinence all Fridays during Lent. And may God bless us.